Welcome, history fanatics, to Mrs. Heron's video playlist, where you will get the best of the best in social studies. We are working on Unit 3, Africa. Our goal for this unit is to analyze the impact of geography on history, culture, population, government, and the economy of Africa. This unit is split up into 3 chapters. Chapter 6, West and Central Africa, Chapter 7, Southern and Eastern Africa, and Chapter 8, North Africa. The environments of southern and eastern Africa are breathtakingly gorgeous. One of the strangest areas in the region is the Great Rift Valley. It was formed when 2 of Earth's plates slowly moved away from each other. This made the land between them gradually sink over time and form a low valley that is surrounded by mountains and plateaus. One of these mountains, Mount Kilimanjaro, is the highest point in Africa. Near the Great Rift Valley is Africa's largest lake, Lake Victoria, which is home to the famous Devil's Pool, pictured here. Because the elevation in South Africa is higher than in North Africa, some of the rivers run north, as is the case with the Nile River. Other famous rivers include the Zambezi, the Orange, and the Limpopo rivers. The Zambezi even has a tremendous waterfall on it called Victoria Falls. While some of these physical features are great for farming and fresh water, they also have their downsides. The rivers between East and North Africa are affected by sud swamps, which is a thick, floating area of plants and tall papyrus that make transportation by boat very difficult. This region can also be extremely dry, as is the case with the desert regions of the Sahara, the Nubian, Kalahari, and the Namibia, which has some of the world's tallest sand dunes and by some has been called the gates of hell, or the land that God made in anger. Wouldn't want to get stranded out there, by the way. Central and Southern Africa have several similar physical features to Western and Central Africa. Both are situated on the equator, both have part of the Northern Sahara, and both are negatively impacted by monsoon winds. However, one of the main differences between the two is the higher elevation in the southern and eastern region, which means the temperatures are generally lower. This region is home to the most famed savanna in Africa, the Serengeti Plain, in parts of Kenya and Tanzania. The wildlife on the Serengeti is very diverse. However, there have been issues recently with some species being endangered due to illegal poaching or hunting of these animals. The governments have tried to stop some of these issues by setting up wildlife reserves and promoting ecotourism, which is designed to help people learn more about conservation and taking care of the wildlife. This region has a larger amount of mineral and ore resources than the rest of Africa. Some of these include precious stones like diamonds and gold and platinum, and others are used for modern industries like copper, tin, iron, and uranium. South Africa has the largest amount of natural resources in the entire region. Mining helps the economy of the nation by bringing in jobs and revenue. However, it is dangerous work and it can mean very long hours for the miners. It is also dangerous for the environment, leaving large gaps in the land and polluting the air and water. The higher elevation in this region equals better farmland. Most nations receive enough rainfall to rely on farming year-round. Some exceptions are Ethiopia, Sudan, Somalia, and Namibia. This means that the land in these countries must be irrigated. Crops that can grow in these conditions include cotton, tobacco, and tea. They also raise cattle and livestock. And in the more fertile lands, like those of South Africa, cotton, sugarcane, and avocados and other tropical fruits are grown and exported to other countries. In Ethiopia, coffee beans are the primary export, which may explain the name coffee after the Kaffa region of Ethiopia. Water is yet again another issue of conflict in this region, specifically water from the Nile River. Some countries have enough water supply to support the people and farmland all year, such as Egypt, who uses 14 trillion gallons of water from the Nile every year, and Uganda, who uses 5.2 trillion gallons every year. However, some countries have to ask for international aid because of their water shortages, such as Ethiopia with 2.6 trillion gallons and Sudan with 3.1 trillion gallons of water. The Sudan experiences issues with water because the southern nation of Uganda has built dams that limit the flow of water to Sudan, causing conflict between the two nations. The dams also do a lot of good because they provide hydroelectricity to the region. Another issue that plagues this region, again, is disease. Mosquitoes and the tsetse fly are back for their revenge. They're to blame for some of the diseases in this region as well. However, there are many others that affect this region on top of those. Another issue is access to clean water and food. And in areas with high population, diseases like cholera and river blindness can harm or even kill the people of Eastern and Central Africa. The last one I want to talk about is HIV and AIDS, which is another disease that has been deadly to the local people. We won't get too much into it. We'll talk about that in another video, and we'll discuss some of these other issues later on.